Welcome now to Saints in the Shadows. Hear the stories of the saints, learn about things you never knew. See if you can figure out who the saint is before the end.
All right. So, our saint for today. Some men are born into belief. Others fall into it. And then there are those rare few who hunt it down. They refuse inherited answers. They refuse quiet doubts. They refuse to stop asking questions until truth itself answers back. In the 2nd century, when gods were many and certainty was scarce, there lived such a man, restless, educated, relentless. And for tonight, we're going to call him the seeker who would not stop. He was born near the edge of an empire, and basically in Rome, in a Roman colony that smelled of sea, wind, and argument. Neapolis, today's Nablus, was a place where philosophies crossed paths as often as traders did. His family was pagan, his upbringing Roman, very Roman, his mind sharp and endlessly dissatisfied. From a young age, he read everything. Plato intrigued him, Aristotle disappointed him, the Stoics, they impressed him until they grew cold. The Pythagoreans demanded too much mathematics and too little meaning. Each system promised wisdom, but each fell short. The seeker wanted not just ideas, but truth. Something that could shape a life, anchor the soul, answer the question that haunted every lecture hall and portico. What is worth dying for? Then, one ordinary day, walking along the shore, the seeker met an old man. No robe of authority, no school behind him, just questions. The old man spoke of prophets older than philosophies, of a logos not imagined but incarnate, of a God who entered history not through arguments, but through love and suffering. The seeker argued. The old man answered. And when they parted, something had shifted. The seeker had found what philosophy could not give him. He became a Christian. However, here's where the story turns. Conversion did not end his seeking. It refined it. Rather than abandon philosophy, the seeker put it to use. He donned the philosopher's cloak, a visible sign of a teacher, and walked the cities of the empire, explaining Christianity not as superstition, but as the fulfillment of everything philosophy had been reaching for. He taught that Christ was the true logos, the word behind all reason, that whatever is true belongs to God, wherever it is found, that Christians did not fear inquiry because truth had nothing to fear from questions. This made him useless to the mobs and dangerous to the authorities. Because the seeker wrote, he wrote what's known as apologies, not apologies of regret like I'm sorry, but formal defenses addressed directly to emperors. He explained Christian worship. He argued against false accusations. He described baptism, Holy Communion, Sunday gatherings, not in secret, in daylight, for the world to read. Christianity, he insisted, was not a threat to reason or order. What it threatened was falsehood, and falsehood doesn't surrender quietly. There was, in Rome, another philosopher, skilled, bitter, jealous. He lost debates, he lost students, and he noticed the seeker gaining both. So he did what failed philosophers sometimes do. He denounced. The seeker was arrested with a small group of his students. They were brought before the prefect. No screaming crowds, no torches, just questions, simple ones. Do you believe you will be rewarded after death? The seeker answered calmly. We do not suppose we know. Do you worship the gods? No. Will you sacrifice? No. The prefects warned him, offered mercy, offered escape. the seeker refused. Not dramatically, not defiantly, reasonably. He believed Christianity was true. He believed truth deserved loyalty. And if philosophy was the love of wisdom, then martyrdom, he said, was simply being consistent. Sentence passed, death ordered, and the students, young men who had followed his teaching, followed him to the end. However, here's the thing. The seeker did not die for a creed he barely understood. He died for one he had tested, argued, explored, and chosen. He met Christ not by abandoning reason, but by following it all the way to the cross. He showed the world that faith need not flee the mind, that Christianity does not fear philosophers, that truth, once found, also asks for everything, and the seeker who would not stop had a name. A name signed at the end of fearless letters, a name remembered every time reason and faith meet without apology, a name the church honors not because he sought death, but because he refused to lie to avoid it. His name was Justin, philosopher, apologist, martyr. And so it is that on April 14th, we celebrate Saint Justin Martyr. Justin Martyr. So he's our saint in the shadow. Now, in terms of some of the other stuff, one of the interesting things I found as I was kind of looking some of this stuff up, one of the recipes I found was for a Mediterranean kind of style chicken, which was like a sumac chicken.
Ooh.
And then basically, in terms of a drink, most people, no, just basically anything that deals with a beach. I think the one offered in the book I have is called the Beach Comber, which is fine. But honestly, a beach themed drink works because that's where he ran into the old man. It is really interesting. So Justin Martyr, let me see if I have his date here. Yeah, he lived from 103 to 165. So we're talking like second, maybe third generation Christian. Like, in terms of like, Jesus ascended into heaven probably somewhere around 30 AD, and so then you have like one group of Christians that will probably last for about maybe 50 years. So 80 AD. So you get like, he's in like your second generation, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, then you got St. John that lived to be like 100. So
yeah.
But yeah, so that's the guy. Now I know Justin Martyr is not necessarily as well known as some of the others. He is actually still fairly well known in terms of saints. Like I said, he is a very early forming one. They have an optional date to celebrate him on June 1st. I don't quite know what that's about, but still. April 14th is his date. Now, what is that? How's that? Now I'm trying to look at my calendar. Like, is that Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah.
So there you go. Get some beach themed things. If you want to have just a regular beach. See, this is the fun part about it. Like, you don't exactly have to have like an alcoholic beverage. You honestly, what you should do? You should probably go to like the Dollar Tree and get those like fake coconut cups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And just have
we're having a martyr party.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Justin Martyr. Yeah. Saint Justin Martyr. Yeah. and martyr just means, person who died witnessing the faith. So
yeah.
Anyway. So yeah. There you go. So, all right. So that is my saint in the shadow.
And so it ends. The light shines in the shadow. And now you know more about the story of one of the saints of history.